beautiful thing, mother and daughter sharing the same husband and baby daddy. You know, it's such a beautiful thing.
It's not often that a mom and daughter are pregnant at the same time, let alone by the same man, but we wouldn't want things to be any other way. So when I found out that my mom was pregnant and by the same man as me, you know, honestly it was unexpected because again, we weren't trying at all for a baby, but I just I don't think there was ever a moment in my mind where, you know, I was upset about it. It was pure joy and bliss for me, to know that I get to carry a baby alongside the woman who birthed me. And that our baby's going to share that, you know, DNA from the same man. And, you know, he's been so supportive and sweet, and I couldn't imagine things any other way now.
I really crave the sweet and salty. And so, I mean, anything from potato chips dipped in ice cream to pizza drizzled with chocolate.
This is Leviticus 18 and 17. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter, neither shalt thou take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness, for they are her near kinswoman. It is wickedness. Kahala Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Kodash, which are the true Hebrew names of the Most High Father, Yahweh, which is Hebrew for He is, and His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, which is Hebrew for He is salvation. Double honors by teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, who are the house of David reborn again in this generation. And shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. As we just watched, today's lesson is going to be talking about the wickedness that is starting to come upon the face of the earth in this last decade, I guess you could say. And that is the rampant explosion of perversion in our world. Okay? Now, the reason why this is happening is basically Esau, the so-called Caucasian and Israelis, which the Bible refers to as the Edomites, the descendants of Esau. They currently control the world, and in doing so, this is what they promote, right? They promote lascivious activity, okay? Things that would be considered taboo. Now, these Edomites, they love this stuff. They love incest porn. They love, pedophilia. They love all these type of perverse sexual kinks. And that's the thing about these devils. And because they are into it, they push it. And those things that they just cannot come out publicly with, that being the pedophilia and whatnot, they'll hide behind their levels of authority. This is why we're starting to hear about Epstein's Island and all these different places that take place, right? All those 300,000+ kids that go missing every year. It's not a coincidence. Those kids just don't disappear, right? They're taken someplace. They're part of a large scale international sex trade that these Edomites are behind. Okay, this is 2 Peter's 3:3. Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lust. So you see, we are currently living in the end days, okay? And one of the signs of the end days is that you would have people who were against God, because again, you can't be doing stuff like we've seen in this video and be for God. Even if those people were to say that they're religious, whatever, they're worshiping false Christianity, white, Jesus Christ, made up religion. They don't actually know about the Bible. Now, that Jake there in the middle, he was obviously brought up in this wicked ass Babylonian system, thinking that's a win right there, being able to get a woman and her mother at the same time. That right there, in Esau's kingdom is shown as a W, but in reality, it's a major L, right? Because as we just read, right, it breaks one of the taboo sexual laws of the Bible, right? The people that you do not sleep with, right? You don't have children with, because why? Well, in this case, because it's wickedness. Now, that being said, this is just this whole video is not about, that Jake, getting caught in that wicked ass behavior, right? But it's just to illustrate that we're living in wicked times, right? So wicked that they literally made a movie based off a popular Broadway play called Wicked, where they justify the evil actions of a witch. Okay, and this right now, it's being pushed in Esau's kingdom, not only through the acts that we just seen in the video, but from the wickedness that's going on over there in the land of Israel and Gaza, and now starting off in the West Bank. The thing is these Edomites, they're starting to show their horns. Because why? Well, because as Bible prophecy says, that the beast that would have two little horns and would look like a lamb will speak like a dragon, meaning they're going to start showing their horns. They're going to start showing the world how ruthless and wicked they really are. This is 2nd Ezra 7:41. Even so now, seeing corruption is grown up and wickedness increased, and the righteous have prayed for the ungodly, wherefore shall not be so now also. So you see, in speaking to Ezra, the angel Uriel basically revealed to Ezra that in the end times, wickedness and corruption would be fully grown. It would be at its peak. And it's funny, right? Because Esau, he always pushes the Judites, right, and all you Israelites in general, the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, to be the forefront, the head of this wickedness, right? Here you go, you have the Southern Kingdom and Northern Kingdom. Hilarious, because when you get into the Bible, it talks about the two sisters. This right here is a perfect wicked illustration of a story of how the Lord refers to the Southern and the Northern Kingdom as two women, right? Let's actually get that. And it's funny because the point I'm being is that we're going to read the story. The sister's name is Ahala and Ahalabah, but if you watch this movie or watch the play, this witch's name is Alphaba. So Ahola, Aholabah, Alphaba, these are all very similar. And why is that? Well, because you see, the devils that are behind the writing of the story, the books, they understand the Bible. Okay, they understand, because they're Edomites, right? They're Israeli and Caucasians who create these works of fiction. So they'll use words like this to have, similarities and similitudes to the Bible, all in an effort to push the wickedness all to a higher level. That's why this stuff gets to where it goes to, right? Because it has one meaning to the outside world, but to the insiders, the people who make these videos, the people who finance it, produce it, it has whole other different meanings, right? In fact, when the story of Wizard of Oz came out, it was really an analogy of the corrupt banking system in America and how it was being taken over by Amalek, the small adders, right? But in this day, you could easily see how these two women, who technically are, it's a Judite of the Southern Kingdom, and it's a Northern Kingdom Latina, okay, and they're here both representing, wickedness, witchcraft, okay. And check this out. This is the story that the Bible refers to as Northern and the Southern Kingdom. This is Ezekiel 23 and 24, and the names of them were Ahala the elder and Aholabah her sister, and they were mine, and they bear sons and daughters. Thus were their names Samaria, right, the Northern Kingdom, Ahala, and Jerusalem, Ahalabah, right? Jerusalem is the Southern Kingdom, the so-called Negroes, Samaria, the Northern Kingdom, so-called Latinos and Native Americans. Well, look what the Lord said that we did. And Ahala played the harlot when she was mine, and she doted on her lovers, on the Assyrians, her neighbors, which were clothed with blue, and captains and rulers, all of them desirable young men, horsemen riding upon horses. Thus she committed her whoredoms with them, and all them that were the chosen men of Assyria, and with all on them she doted, with all the idols she defiled herself. And that's ultimately, and it's basically the same thing with the Southern Kingdom of Israel, man. Both of our nations went whoring with these other nations. Again, the Northern Kingdom basically we mixed in heavily with the Assyrians, which is why we got lighter in skin tone. And the southern kingdom, they went heavily mixed within the Hamites, right? The Egyptians and whatnot. And this is why they stayed in the darker tones, right? That's just one aspect of it. But the whole point being is that just like the wickedness that our people did in those days, they're doing it today, right? And how do they do that? Well, by getting into witchcraft, by, playing part of Esau's system, going about the world in an Americanized, westernized fashion, right? Meaning that you're living under the image of the beast. You're going with this system. And then down the road, when all is said and done, and Esau introduces the mark of the beast, which are those RFID chips, you're going to have Jakes, just like the one in the beginning of these videos, saying, you know what, I'm going to be able to go to the store with my two baby mamas, and but to do that, I got to get this chip. So they're going to fall right in line. Because why? Because they're playing the harlot with these other nations, with their other mindsets, their other doctrines, and they're basically drunk on their philosophy, their ways of life. This is Ecclesiasticus 10:2. As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers, and what manner the man of the ruler of the city is, such are they that dwell therein. Right? So this basically goes back to that saying, right? As is the king, so are the people. And again, like, it goes back to what I was saying, right? The reason why you have Jake, being touted as him doing something big, because he got both the mother and the daughter pregnant, that's only up in this wicked society because this is the way that the top elites, the people who rule the society are, right? Your Epstein list, moguls, your Edomite elites who have snuff parties and all these things, right? So as is the king, so are the people, right? This is why why there's a veil above society that basically hides the wicked undertone sexual slave trade that goes on around here. But again, and what that produces is the whole porn industry and the lifestyle of the OnlyFans systems and what we just watched in this video. See, these are all symptoms of what happens when you let the wicked stay in power and rule the world, right? They defile the system, they defile the people, right? Us Israelites, we should not even be involved in any of this, right? We should see this as folly and stay far from it. But what happens, right? Well, it tells you right here, Proverbs 12:26. The righteous, which are the Israelites, is more excellent than his neighbor, right? That being all the other nations of the world, right? But the way of the wicked seduces him. And that's what's happening, right? These Israelites who are getting involved in like that perverse lifestyle in the beginning of this video, or even things like sports, or collecting things like that, where you've gone too far and you've taken on these Edomites wicked customs, right? You've been seduced by the wicked. This is all done on purpose to destroy the people, to seduce the righteous. And these Edomites are getting away with it, especially in this time, because this is the end times, the time when wickedness and corruption have fully grown, and a lot of our people are falling for it. This is James 1:15. Then when the lust has conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. So all these lifestyles, all these ways of being strong and independent, not needing a man or a partner, right? Whatever it is, right? Because there's even a lot of Jakes, the MGTOW Jakes, that have gone their own ways, won't even want a wife, and what they end up doing is they don't have kids, right? And because they become incels, or they get disenchanted with the system, and by the time that they realize that they want kids, they can't, because they're they're way too old. They can't get some young woman, or things like that. The whole point being is that the wickedness of this system, the doctrine of these Edomite devils, have seduced the world, and in doing so, it has caused a lot of people to err, to sin. And by the time that sin is done, by the time they live that life, they've lived their truth, as Esau likes to say, it brings forth death. right? Look at the people who recently took those snake bites, right? You're having a lot of people dying off, right? Having those clot shots and whatnot. But again, that's because ultimately they were seduced by the way of these devils. Now, the Bible tells us that this is just the way of things, right? That Esau's wickedness and corruption is going to go so far that it's going to manage to gather 2/3 of our people. This is Zechariah 13:8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, right, all the earth, saith Yahweh Hashem Shai, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the 3rd shall be left therein. And that's talking about only 1 out of every 3 Negro, Latino, Native Americans, and all those whose father's lineage goes back to that bloodline, are going to make it into to the kingdom without having to die on this side, to be destroyed and hence cleansed, and then die, be their own sacrifice, and be reborn into the kingdom, right? And that's just the way that the system is, man. Because you see, these Edomites, they've done such a marvelous work of bringing out their wickedness that they've managed to deceive the whole world, right? Deceive all the nations through their enchantments, as the Bible says. And that includes 2/3 of our people. People who hear this, who are going to hear this truth, because the Bible tells you that everybody in the earth is going to hear this truth, right? Be it that they scoff at it, that they consider it for a little bit, they get into it, and then they fall out. Either way, everybody that is alive on earth is going to hear this truth, and then the end's going to come. And once that is done, only 1 out of every 3 of our people, the Israelites, are going to hearken to this truth, come back and learn what they got to do, learn who they are, learn God's and his only begotten Son's true names, and do the best they can to, as far as keeping the commandments and understanding that we have grace. So that way, when that time comes, the Lord, sees that we're ready. But again, 2/3 aren't going to see that, and they're going to be destroyed. They're going to be caught up with their 2 baby mamas, thinking that they're doing everything, but all the while being seduced, being distracted from what's really going on, what the true win is going to be. That being coming back to the Lord and doing the righteousness. So either way, Akim, hopefully this video was edifying. Until next time, I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahshai, Ba'Shem Ruach HaKodesh. Shalom.